It's time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Anything happened since we last talked to you on Tuesday night?
I want to break down that big battle Dabo was talking about at right guard between Cade Stewart and Sean Pollard.
Yes, that's something to keep a close watch on moving forward with the Clemson football season. So Kelly Bryant said thank you, but no thank you to his new position at Clemson. We're going to talk about that tonight, let you hear what Dabo Swinney had to say on his conference call. Plus, we are assuming he'll have his regular Wednesday evening meeting with the media after practice. We'll bring that to you as well. We'll take your calls on it. So what do you think? 800-956-7266 is our phone number. A lot of you have been, of course, working the Twitter page at SportsTalkSC and email.
A lot of you working the Twitter page. A lot of people.
And our email, of course, talkback@sportstalksc.com. The M&M boys will be here a little bit after the top of the hour, so we'll get their thoughts on that. And Keith Richardson, co-director of the Touchstone Energy Bowl, will join us as well because they're moving the game. It's confirmed now, the Touchstone Energy North-South All-Star Football game, 12 o'clock noon on December 15th, and the game will be at Coastal Carolina's stadium because the normal location, Doug Shaw, is already booked for a all-star game, a college all-star game, like a division FCS or Division II type all-star game.
Mm-hmm.
It is not available. 800-956-7266 is the number. Your phone calls will be up here shortly, but let's just touch on the developments. So the Greenville News broke the story this morning that Kelly Bryant has decided to transfer. And, of course, Trevor Lawrence had already been named the starter moving forward, and Dabo Swinney hoping against hope that everything would just be calm and cool, and Kelly Bryant would decide to stay with the team and understand that, in football, you're only a play away from being back in a starting role, or you're just a bad performance by the guy ahead of you from being back in a starting role, because Dabo said this was not a permanent deal. I mean, as long as Trevor Lawrence was playing at a high level, yes, but if he were to stumble, then you could see a switcheroo like we're seeing now. But he decided to transfer, and he told the Greenville News that he kind of felt like it was a slap in the face, that he didn't come across as sounding like somebody who was interested in the team-oriented approach to this thing and looking out more for his own interests, which in today's world, of course, we understand that's how it is, especially at the quarterback position. So, I think Dabo Swinney made a coach's decision, and that is he feels his best quarterback is Trevor Lawrence. He has every right to make that decision for his football team. And Kelly Bryant has every right to decide under the available rules to him to stay or leave, and he has chosen to leave. And so, again, it's looking out for the best interest. In the one case, it's looking out for the best interest of the team, according to the coach. The other case, looking out for the best interest of the individual by that individual. So the scary part for Clemson is they're awfully thin now at quarterback.
They are.
If something happens to Trevor Lawrence, it really gets dangerous for them moving forward. So they have got to perhaps adjust accordingly with how they use him. I'm sure that, he's going to take off and run when necessary, but he's back there to throw the football. We know that. But in terms of called runs and things of that nature that they might be using, I would think they'll be very selective now moving forward with that.
See, now, you put it very, very properly, and I would say that there are people who are sitting there who are bashing Dabo for the way he handled this and bashing Kelly for leaving and quitting on the team. It's not impossible for both to be right. I think Dabo is very self-righteous in the decision. He said so on the ACC teleconference, which will play for you in a moment, about the decision he made and the fact that he has to take care of the 84 other scholarship guys who are in the room. The needs of one do not supersede the needs of all. And so from that perspective, he needs to take care of his football team the way he sees fit. And the best decision, based on the way things have gone for the first 4 games, point output, the way the offense looks, and just the general effectiveness of the football team, is Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. Now, I was saying this to you all across this. There was going to be a point where this came to a head. I didn't know if it would come in week 4. I don't know if it would come in week 10. I didn't know if it would even make it to a game before it actually did. So that is something that we obviously could see coming, not necessarily from a mile away, but this is not necessarily the biggest surprise, at least to me. Mm-hmm. And the other part of this too, Pro, is that, Kelly Bryant, I don't think should be blamed for doing anything wrong. He's using the rules as afforded to him. And when you have a finite opportunity with college eligibility, you only have 4 years playing on the field to be able to contribute and to be able to show your craft, hone your craft, to either go to the next level or do whatever you want to do beyond your collegiate playing years. You need to take every advantage that is available to you, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, and I think it's the best thing for him, because people will say, well, he's not as good as Trevor Lawrence. But then again, it depends on what school you go to, what they're looking for in a quarterback, how they run things. For instance, if he ran Dan Mullen's system at Mississippi State, that's a system for him. It'll be interesting down the road who takes a shot at him and where he goes. Yeah. I understand that what a flyer out from Penn State is one thing we read, but
there's going to be a lot of stuff thrown around out there. But to me, this is a decision made for December and January. This is a decision to get Clemson ready for Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma. You know, Clemson right now is 36 in the country in passing. Alabama's 13th. Ohio State is 6th. Oklahoma was like 28th. And I think after what happened last year in the semifinals, where they threw for 124 yards, and you go back to when they beat Alabama and they threw for 420 yards, I think Dabo realizes and he sees what Tua is doing with Alabama's offense and what they're doing throwing and then opening up their running game. This was a decision made not taking anything for granted, but come on, look at the schedule. They could have stuck with Kelly and with Trevor and kept that rotation going and won through the regular season with no problem.
It wouldn't have prepared them well enough, though.
Exactly. I think he's looking down the road to see what they're going to be facing come playoff time, and having Trevor Lawrence fully indoctrinated and fully prepared for what they might see. Though I don't know if you face Saban and he's facing a freshman quarterback. And I was talking to somebody this afternoon who said, look, teams are just going to blitz the heck out of Clemson now moving forward. They're going to bring the heat and take their chances. They're going to play man coverage on those receivers, knowing they're going to give up some big plays, but they're going to try and hit Trevor Lawrence as much as possible because, well, first of all, college referees don't protect you like NFL referees do. And they're going to try and rattle his cage. That's what, this guy was telling me that he would do if he was calling a defense.
Well, and he probably get torched too, because I think Clemson is good enough that they'll still block. He'll take some hits, but he's gonna burn some people. I think another reason Dabo made this decision is in my mind, there's no challengers there. If Florida State was the Florida State of old,
right,
and Miami was Miami of old, I would have had Kelly starting only because I'm going to make their defensive coordinators think about how to defense both of them.
Listen.
Now, they don't have any team to challenge them that's good enough to say, okay, fine. Now we don't have to deal with Kelly. We'll just work on defending this guy.
Listen,
and they still won't have anybody to stop.
Here's the issue, and you made fun of me for my man crush on Trevor Lawrence after the first time I saw him in a game. Guys, the truth. He can throw the football better than anybody I've seen as a freshman collegiate football player. And I know I haven't been doing this as long as you, but he throws not only a tight spiral, he puts it in the place where you're supposed to catch it, and he makes the kinds of throws that nobody else on this roster can make. It's simple. He's the best opportunity for them to win, and Kelly Bryant's best opportunity to play a full football season is somewhere that is not Clemson.
All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. We can also talk about this rule. And, again, unintended consequences. This rule was made for freshmen, not for seniors and others, but now you're going to see a whole nother market of transfers and recruiting going on. We'll talk about all that when we come back.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Your phone calls at 800-956-7266 or read your tweets as well at SportsTalkSC. We are expecting within the hour to hear from Dabo Swinney. If you missed it on the ACC teleconference, we have that online at SportsTalkSC.com. If we have time during the show, we want to get to your calls. We'll play it as it permits, but do want to hear from you on this as well. And again, the more and more I heard him talk yesterday, Corn, I was saying this with you during the break, the more and more I think that Kelly, or that Dabo, excuse me, almost kind of felt the need that he had to try and re-recruit Kelly in the media, just because every answer about Trevor had Kelly's name in it. Everything that they was talking about after the game, there was a mention of Kelly. And I just think that they kind of had an idea of the fact that this was going to be a decision that they had to make to go to Trevor, and it probably wasn't going to go over well.
Well, my take is that they kind of knew after the Georgia Tech game what they were doing. His answers after the Georgia Tech game, the way he handled that press session, left me feeling like something was in the works. And then on Sunday, you were on the conference call, and again, they did not step up with an answer about the quarterback position, which even further led me to believe that this was in the works. And then Monday morning, comes out with the depth chart, and there it is. I can't say, I don't know if Swinney had a feeling that Bryant would walk after this news. I think my gut tells me he did not. My gut tells me he thought that Bryant would stick it out, would be the good soldier, would be the good Clemson Tiger, part of the culture, and want to be around, knowing that he was still going to get snaps because of the way things are going to play out with this schedule. And, of course, the injury factor, because you're always just one snap away from being that guy. So my guess is that he thought he would stay. Not knowing anything, I'm just telling you from my intuition. That's what I think. I think they thought he would stick it out, and, why not go and get another championship ring?
Well, here's the other deal. Why isn't it that we can't build a scenario that Kelly Bryant already told him he's transferring? Because why would Dabo make this announcement on the fourth game? They could have waited to the fifth game, then switch it, and then he hadn't.
I think that's a credit to Dabo.
That's something that he mentioned not only on Tuesday, but he also mentioned it this morning. He said he could have been a vindictive person. That's not the word he used, but he could have been vengeful and said, you know what? You're committed to play here this year. I'm going to play you in the Syracuse game and start you, and then make the switch so you're not able to leave. Yeah, which would make him look like, again, he'd make him look worse than he does today.
Keep in mind that I think in the Greenville News story, and also in the preseason in a story, Kelly Bryant said he thought about transferring.
Yeah, he said that to us openly.
Yeah, so, it was something that was in the back of his mind, but as long as he was the starter, he was going to stick it out. All right, 800-956-7266. Let's hear what you've got to say about it. Stephen and Casey, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I've been watching Coach Swinney since he was the new head coach. I think he beat the Gamecocks his first year. And I think it was fear the thumb, 5 victories for the Gamecocks over Clemson. And then Swinney's had his way these last few years. That's because during those 5 years, Clowney was the man and said, we're not losing to Clemson while I'm on the team. And I've yet to see another player step up and leave that type of legacy. I'm hoping Javon Kinlaw will. I think that Coach Swinney did not realize that Bryant would transfer, and I think Coach Swinney made a huge mistake. Now, I could be wrong, but any player is one injury away from not playing. And he could have, in my opinion, kept the status quo. Thank you.
Appreciate the call.
Not upsetting the apple cart is one school of thought.
Again, I still think your best bet on winning a national championship is with 16. And if Kelly Bryant is collateral damage, so be it. You get 4 years of it. You get 3 years to try this out with Trevor Lawrence.
It's a roll of the dice, and it's going to play out, and you're going to find out starting against Syracuse on Saturday exactly if he made the right decision or if he's going to regret this down the road.
Run up the score in the first half and then just put Chase Price.
Maybe put Ben Batson in. I don't know. Again, it's just, I said this earlier. You get You get minimum 3 years with Trevor Lawrence. You have to maximize that time.
Yeah.
800-956-7266 is our phone number. And is that right? Is he here? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt what has been a great program so far to welcome in the de facto mayor of the city of Charleston. The bad boy by the bay, the ninja of the night, the pontiff of the port city, the queen, the cowboy crybabies, and the man who single-handedly swept out all the floodwaters from the battery to keep it dry.
Is that it?
For the tourists and the people of Charleston. He is a hero. He is Jerome.
Hey, and it can be a greater program when I call, too.
Oh, the ratings just are going through the roof right now.
We're ready.
That's right. Better than Howard Stern's, anyway.
Yes.
Look, why don't you take some truth serum and tell people, coaches run players off all the time. How long you been on the air? We talked about this before. I mean, it's college football, dirty little secret they never want to talk about. But look, Clemson, don't listen to these people in the media. Just concentrate on your schedule week to week, okay? Because if you had to play Alabama, Ohio State, or Georgia, 2 of those 3 teams, you'd be an underdog, Tom. Because Alabama, their offense looks almost unstoppable. And we all see how Ohio State's demolishing people, but then they haven't played anyone. But we're going to find out about them this weekend because they got to go to Happy Valley. And some Happy Valley could be Sad Valley for some people.
Well, he wasn't run off. I mean, he made a coach's decision.
Right.
I mean, a coach has a right to make a coach's decision. So, Jerome, obviously, you never played team sports, couldn't make the cut. So you don't know what it's like to have a coach make a decision about you. But he made a decision. His decision is, with the contribution of his offensive staff, that to take that next step and elevate the offense, in their opinion, after seeing what happened at Georgia Tech, it's time to take the handcuffs off of 16 and let him be the true engineer of the offense and see what he can do. Is it going to be the right decision? Only time will tell. It could backfire.
Listen,
I mean, he could go out there and play like a true freshman. He has had a couple of interceptions.
He has.
But then again, those 4 touchdown passes he threw the other day were pretty special.
They're high quality. And here's the other part of this. If I'm a Clemson fan, Clemson fans are sad because they have this attachment to Kelly and, he's waited his turn and all this. If I'm a Clemson fan, I just got an All-American quality quarterback. I got an All-American quality quarterback on my football team.
Ryan Helinski probably is going to be the most ballyhooed quarterback ever to come to South Carolina.
Yeah.
All right. Jake Bentley, unless he leaves for the NFL this year, which, who knows what's going to happen.
This could play itself out next fall.
You could have the same situation in Columbia with the older guy, the younger guy who's ready to step in and expects to come in and play right away. Would Jake Bentley take a hike if Ryan Helinski comes in next year and somehow is better and
I don't know.
And they make a decision to put him in as a starting quarterback at some point?
I don't know because his dad is here. So that is a different factor. But at the same point, I mean, like we said before, this could be something that plays itself out next year.
It's the question for all college football players. How devoted are you to the team, to the program, to the university, or to yourself? And, the quarterback position is such a high-profile spot. You got so many people in your ear who telling you, man, you're going to make it to the NFL, but if you're the number 2 guy, you're not going to get drafted. You got to go somewhere where you can start, so you can be drafted and make millions of dollars.
Who was the guy at Southern Cal? Didn't play a down, but he got in the NFL.
Matt Castle.
Matt Castle stayed in it about 8 years. But here's the key: I know it's a different era, and I know they had different talents, and nowhere is Tim Tebow in the stratosphere with Trevor Lawrence. But Chris Leak started every game his senior year. But guess what?
Didn't have this rule though.
But you didn't have this rule, but Tim Tebow, the fan favorite, got into play, especially in short yardage situations, and sometimes when the game was a blowout.
But they never opted to change the starting quarterback.
That is correct. Now, who's more likely to transfer after 4 games? The senior who feels besmirched, or the hotshot freshman who says, I should be starting by now?
Gamecock65 tweets us, and this apparently is a Gamecock fan. Dabo could have easily started Bryant Saturday and pulled him after a quarter. He'd be stuck in Clemson. Dabo actually did him a favor. He should be commended. I hope they lose every game, but this is admirable.
All right, 800-956-7266. Got a full bank of calls. If you'll hang on, we'll get to you after the break.
Could blow through the commercials. We've got a full bank of calls and waiting to hear from you at 800-956-7266. We'll try to get to all of you before we get to the M&M boys here at the top of the next hour. Corey Miller and Will Merritt will weigh in on the Kelly Bryant decision and also the big game for the Gamecocks. We will also be in Clemson. Ironic that we picked this week, Corn, to do our Palmetto
Some things just work out for the best.
Palmetto Pigskin Preview, and our special thanks to the folks at 105.5 The Roar, our affiliate. Usually they tape delay us between the hours of 7 and 9. Tomorrow they're going to air us live from 6 until 8 for the full 2 hours that we are at Your Pie at Clemson, 111 Earl Street, just off of College Ave, right there in downtown Clemson. I was over there yesterday. They look like they got some fantastic za corn and a great setup. We're looking forward to being over there. We're going to bring our commemorative footballs that we have left over from the ACC championship last year, and I think we may have one or two left over from the national championship year as well. We need to get rid of those just because they are taking up space in our room, and we'd rather they do so in yours. So come by and see us at Your Pie in Clemson tomorrow, 6 until 8, 111 Earl Street, downtown Clemson.
And we'll have a couple of live guests. Monty Lee is coming over to join us.
And the new women's basketball coach at Clemson, Amanda Butler, her first opportunity to join us on Sports Talk.
Speaking of Clemson baseball, if we have time, we'll go into this. Otherwise, you can check it on the website, SportsTalkSC.com. They did release their baseball schedule today, and one addition to the schedule out of the norm is the Tigers are going to play a game in Columbia at Spirit Communications Park. It'll be on March 20th against the College of Charleston.
And it's part of a 2-game series. They'll play one game in Clemson and then one game here in the Midlands.
Yeah,
both coaches used to be assistants in South Carolina, but they crossed at different times, though, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Monty left before Chad came to Columbia. Yeah,
exactly.
Once again, too, if you didn't hear this,
and Monty
earlier,
was at College of Charleston as well. So there you go.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Monty left USC to go to the college,
yeah.
And I think he went directly to the college, and then later Chad came in. And if you missed this earlier, the Touchstone Energy North-South All-Star Football Game, which we, of course, are proud to be a part of here at Sports Talk and South Carolina Radio Network. Because of the flooding and the reworking of the high school schedule, it's going to be played December 15th now at Coastal Carolina. The kickoff will be at noon. So they had to work a lot of different things to make this happen and make sure the game is played. The stadium, Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium, the normal location is not available for that weekend because of a college all-star game. Also, Ray Tanner was on the Gamecock radio station in Columbia today and said the October 20th date for the Gamecocks is out for filling the canceled game against Marshall. And so the only date available for them, if they're not playing in the SEC championship game, I'm not laughing, if they're not playing in the SEC championship game, will be December 1st.
For those of you who might have thought the Vegas impact on Trevor Lawrence might cause Syracuse to become more of a or not necessarily become less of an underdog, it's actually given Clemson more juice. Clemson now a 25-point favorite.
They like the idea of the offense being potent, extremely potent with the big arm of Trevor Lawrence. Let's see what you think. We go back to your calls, and it is Will's little brother, Pee Wee.
That's not true.
In Lancaster. Pee Wee, how are you?
Yes, I'm good, Phil.
Why do they call you Pee Wee? Is there any particular reason that you can tell us they call you Pee Wee?
I was small as a baby.
Oh, gotcha. What's on your mind, Pee Wee?
So what's on my mind, big up Kelly Bryant. I thank him what he did for Clemson. Like, football is a sport, it's a job. And I want to say, you see the quarterback from Georgia left out, and Phone took over the position. And I hope the offense will be potent with Trevor Lawrence. And I want to ask you, see Clemson going undefeated with Trevor Lawrence over the Ham. And I want to ask you about Joyner, the quarterback at South Carolina, freshman quarterback at South Carolina. Plus, they got another freshman that's going to be coming in.
Yeah.
And I hang up.
Thank you. He makes a good point. I mean, Georgia's quarterback transferred out.
Jacob Eason.
After Fromm took over. I mean, it's just going to happen with these guys, and nobody skewered Georgia as a result because Jake Fromm's done a great job, and they've become a national power with him there at quarterback.
And he's got another guy breathing down his neck, too, in Justin Fields.
Absolutely. So sometimes, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. I can remember, and I know you can, Pro. By the way, you being from New York, did you ever know anybody in New York named Pee Wee?
Never.
Yeah. That's kind of a Southern name.
No, it was Pee Wee Reese, the Brooklyn Dodgers, way back.
But he wasn't from. Was he from New York? Anyway,
efforting.
Remember back in the Danny Ford glory days, Clemson had
Pee Wee Reese was from Kentucky.
Had a running backs room filled with, if you want to call them 5-star players. Remember, they had Terrence Flagler. Mm-hmm. They had Steve Griffin. They had who was who was the big guy? Kenny Flowers. I mean, they were just loaded. But none of those guys that I recall transferred. You know, maybe it's because of the position or the times.
That's because Dabo. That's because they ran the ball 90% of the time.
Yeah, but you can only have one ball. But when it comes to the quarterback position, if you think highly of yourself, now he asked the question about DeCarrion Joyner at USC, and I mean, unless his throwing game improves a heck of a lot over the next 6 to 8 months, I'm sorry, I have to eat my words because who's the guy from ESPN who was in over the summer and said he would never play quarterback?
Tom Luganville.
Yeah, and I said, come on, man, give the guy a break, give him a chance, but. He's probably right.
Well, he knew what was coming down the pike.
Yeah.
But then again, we all sat here and said we don't think Kelly Bryant could take over for Deshaun Watson.
We all did.
He did a heck of a job. All right, thank you for your call, Pee Wee. Let's go to Hank in Columbia next up here on Sports Talk. Hello, Hank. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Corn. And Lugerville, I heard that comment, but he didn't say he would never play. He just said that Joyner wouldn't be ready to play this year, and Joyner was such a special athlete that
he should play wide receiver.
He could get on the field this year around the clock. Yeah, he was like that Randall, the guy from Kentucky, Randall Cobb type athlete.
Yes,
and he could have played this year and provided. He didn't ever say he would never play. But Corn, this is the thing. I don't fault Dabo has to make a decision for his team, so I don't fault him. I do fault folks trying to put anything at Kelly Bryant for this, because I heard y'all talk about the Twitter stuff, but they're ex-Clemson players, recent ex-Clemson players who were tweeting out also and feeling like the bigger issue with Kelly was that they felt like there was a plan afoot already for this to occur. So that's why they didn't feel the competition. These are ex-players that were in the locker room who were saying that they felt like there was a plan afoot and already for this, so therefore he didn't have a fair shot. And I don't believe in media just coming off. I don't think that y'all shoot off the hip. So if you go back to last spring, a lot of media were talking about the fact that he either would start or it wouldn't be but 2 games in he would be the starter. And I know that media gets some of their sources are coaches, unbeknownst to fans who will argue them down. They're actual coaches that will leak that information. And so if that is so, Kelly Bryant's actions, some of it may have been done with the conversations that kept him here through the summer about a fair fight. Because if you know that, and you come out of spring and you say, well, I'm going to name a starter and it looks like he's going to be the one or he's going to be the one at the time, then you go ahead and let him know, and you might have, Hunter Johnson, one of them might have stayed to be that backup. Some of these Clemson fans that are throwing shade at Bryant, it's not because well, some of them really love him and appreciate the fact that he waited his time to play. He waited his time and felt like he's done everything correct. Some of them are upset because they know whether it's a high ankle sprain or a nick or not, it don't have to be a serious injury, but if it's something that takes Trevor Lawrence out for 3 or 4 games, like one of the sports talk guys that were talking in the upstate was saying, then you're looking at, he was saying that Hunter Renfrow would be the next quarterback behind Chase Bryce, is what they're talking about now. And that could be disastrous. And the guy in the upstate, Linkovich, said something that he's not sure how this is going to play out in the locker room because Bryant had a huge following in the locker room. So doing this is fine. He knows why that was with it. He said, but saying it won't have an effect on the locker room, he won't. I forgot what station up in the he's not sure that there won't be an effect. So
all right. Thank you, Hank. We appreciate it.
I have Jadar Johnson who said, they're talking about scared of competition. It's hard to compete with promises that was made before anybody even touched the field. Fans swear they're analysts now. And Zarek Cooper, who, of course, was on the team, said something also to the effect of basically they saw this coming before it happened after all 4 of those quarterbacks transferred. So he basically is saying that the same thing that Hank is, that maybe this was something that was premeditated.
We'll pick it up in a moment.
The guys are always checking email. Send your comments or questions to talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, more of Sports Talk from Columbia's Main Street.
800-956-7266. If you're trying to get on, we will try to get you in as quickly as we can. More on the transfer of Kelly Bryant from Clemson to ?
Let's go back to the phones. And Dana in Somerville, we're giving you the ladies' pass, moving you to the front of the line. I'm sorry, Somerton, not Somerville.
Somerton, right.
Somerton, yeah. Sorry. How are you?
Good. How are you?
We're good. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Well, thank you. No, I just, my husband and I were playing cards, and I was like, I'm going to call. I said, I've been watching Clemson. Both my children have one's a graduate of Clemson, one's at Clemson right now, and they've watched Clemson football since they were in utero. But, and I mean, I'm a huge Clemson fan, and I guess I'm saddened by everything all the drama that's going on with the quarterback issue.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is why jinx something that was working so good? You know, that we were winning.
Why fix something that's not really broken?
Well, I mean, I just think that, he was doing a great job. I mean, look at his record, only 2 losses. And, I mean, why lose him over who's going to start or who's not going to start? It's almost like, and I'm a first one to admit I'm a huge, I cannot stand Alabama, and I guess all Clemson fans are that way. But, I mean, it's almost like, you know, it's all in the press, and it's putting a name out there about Clemson. And I think it's just bad politics for football, for college football, where politics should be left out of football.
So, I mean, but Dana, I mean, seriously, you've been around sports, I guess. Maybe you've had some kids play sports. That you have to understand. Coaches have to make decisions, whether it's the quarterback or it's the starting left tackle. You got to go with the guy who you think is the best. And politics, I don't know if there's any politics here. I think they see a guy who's extremely special, what they call a generation quarterback. I mean, Clemson's been very fortunate to have a Deshaun Watson come through here recently, followed by this Trevor Lawrence. And, you know, Kelly Bryant, you tip your hat to him and say, man, you did a great job in the interim. And if you're a Clemson fan, you say, I wish you would stay. We still love to have you in the program.
Yes,
you can play a vital role. But in his own best interest and the interest of his family and his friends, he feels like he needs to go someplace where he can. There's no guarantee where he goes he's going to be the starter.
No.
If he goes to Auburn, Arkansas, or someplace, I mean, he's still going to have to compete.
He is going to handicap it, I'm sure, to himself to try and figure out, okay, where's the best place I can play. But Dabo said it on multiple occasions. He had to do what's best for the other 84 guys on scholarship in that room. It just has to be. It's not fair to the rest of the team if you can so very clearly see that this one guy is outplaying the other, that you have to show this blind loyalty to this one guy just because he's been here longer.
Thank you for your phone call. Where did she say her kids were watching football from?
In utero.
Look that one up. Can you Google that for me?
It's not something that I'm genetically able to share.
We go to Roger in Florence. Roger, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Good evening, fellas. First time that I've ever called, and the last caller, the lady, stole a little bit of my thunder here. I've 28 years retired teacher and did a little coaching over the years. Never was much of a player, but to give you a little bit of background, most of my time spent keeping stats, for others or whatever. So I don't claim to be, a masterpiece of any of this, but been a lifelong Clemson guy. Went to Clemson for a while, finished over at Francis Marion, but to put all in perspective is this. I like Dabo Swinney. I like all of our coaches at Clemson. I think they do a great job. But I do have to say I think they dropped the ball in this one. And the reason I say that is this. Basically what the lady was saying a while ago. I think you created an issue here that should not have been an issue. I look at Clemson's remaining games And those are games, with the ACC being the way it is this year, you should win all those games no matter who the quarterback is. The only team they have beaten that was any good at all this year was because of Kelly Bryant. That was Texas A&M. Georgia Tech's not any good. No, the bottom line is they're not any good.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line is you win the rest of your games doing exactly what you did, doing the same thing that you have done. In other words, you're mighty presumptuous here to replace a quarterback that has done what he's done for you with the idea that you're going to win in the playoffs. Why not wait till the playoffs and say, okay, this guy gives us a better chance to beat Alabama or beat whoever.
Because this is something, again, Dabo, I think you're making his point for him. Is the fact of the matter is that they feel that regardless of who is there, Dabo or Kelly, they feel that they could run the table, or Chase Bryce for that matter, they've said on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who is there, they feel like they can win with whoever they put out there at quarterback. But the guy who gives them the best chance to win in December and January is number 16.
And we always talked about, Clemson maybe keeping an eye on Alabama with Tua, but also they can look about an hour down the road and say, look, Jake Fromm got all that experience from playing during the regular season, and he was a seasoned type of quarterback in the playoffs. It just, unfortunately, that bomb from Tua, Georgia lost the football game because Georgia looked like the dominant team for most of that game.
What's the old saying that coaches like to say about freshmen? By the time they're November, they're no longer freshmen?
That is correct.
Well, it's a roll of dice.
They're playing.
I think it's a roll of dice,
yes.
And if you're a Clemson fan, you're going to be holding your breath. I mean,
You were
I know
holding your
that
breath anyway.
not necessarily, not when you had the luxury of a Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence and a Chase Bryce. And I hear what the caller's saying, and I hear what Dana was saying too, and that is, why mess with a good formula? It's working for you. I can hear that argument, but then again, as a coach, I believe in this particular case, they are thinking about having a quarterback fully prepared to be the guy come December. And yes, I know, Roger, you're like, don't be so self-sure of yourself that you think you're gonna make it all the way to the playoffs, because anything can happen. But come on, with the schedule they've got left and this team, even if their offense falters and hiccups just a little bit, there's always a defense to pick them up.
Far be it from me to be somebody who is pro Dabo here, but the man's got one of those gold trophies in the lobby of his football operations building.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else does in this room or calling us.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with him.
Mm-hmm. But it's still okay to second guess.
I'm okay to second guess. I'm still okay to second guess him, but I'm telling you,
give credit when credit is due.
I'm rolling.
Question otherwise.
I'm rolling with William Christopher.
Well, keep in mind that in the transition from Cole Stout to Deshaun Watson, Cole Stout started the first 3 games, and Deshaun Watson started taking over in the Florida State game and then took over in the 4th.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In the transition from Kelly Bryant to Trevor Lawrence, Kelly Bryant started the first 4 games, but the transition started in the second quarter of game 4. And I knew, I couldn't say it, but I tweeted it, and somebody on Twitter said, no, they're going to come back with Kelly Bryant in the third quarter. When they started Trevor Lawrence in the third quarter in Atlanta,
you knew.
I knew.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't say it, but I just kind of knew. I said, they're breaking routine here. This is not how they normally do it, and it was the message.
You want to know when I knew? When they had that open practice, that last open practice, he threw a deep in-post route. I believe Justin Ross beat a first-team corner, and he threw a deep post route, hit him right in the breadbasket in full stride. That's when I knew.
But see, here's the key point. That's why I kept making the point that you got to have 2 different systems in my mind, even though Dabo kept saying, oh, we run the same plays for both quarterbacks. No, you don't.
Baloney.
And plus your play caller has to develop a rhythm who's the driver under center. And so now they both are creating a sequence where they can win a tie.
All right, we put ourselves behind the chains. We got callers, we got the M&M boys, we've got recruiting. We'll probably have some Dabo for you. Keith Richardson coming up too.
A lot to handle.
Yeah, stay with us. We'll be back.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. A reminder, tomorrow night we'll be up in Clemson on Earl Street at Your Pie. If you're in the area, come by and say hello. We'll have Monty Lee coming by, the Clemson baseball coach, Amanda Butler, the new women's basketball coach at Clemson. Of course, we try to do this with the football team in mind, but the football team is obviously going to be off limits. Yeah. Coaches will be off limits and all that kind of stuff. Dan Radakovich, we invited him to join us, but he'll be on a plane coming back from Washington, D.C. No, he is not testifying before the Judicial Committee tomorrow.
It's not him.
No, it's not him. He is not testifying tomorrow, as far as we know. So we look forward to being up there tomorrow as we continue our tour around the state of South Carolina during this football season. Come by and say hello, or come by and say goodbye, whatever you want to do.
Come by.
We welcome you nonetheless.
One of our footballs as well.
Yes. 800-956-7266 is the number. M&M Boys coming up here in just a little bit. Want to give you more time on the phones to air out your thoughts about the switch up at Clemson. Bryant out, Lawrence in. So we go to Britton in Rock Hill, who's been waiting for a while. Thank you, Britton, for your patience. You've been rewarded here on Sports Talk.
Yeah, I was just calling to give my piece on the whole situation. And every caller that calls just kind of makes me madder and madder. I think Will is the only one that really understands what's going on. Look, at the end of the day, 16 is just better. And I hate that because I don't know Kelly Bryant personally, but he's a good person. He's a hell of a quarterback. He's a great leader, and I hate that. But at the end of the day, 16 is just better. And I think Dabo went above and beyond by giving him 3 games to prove that, when I think we all really knew after about 2 to 4 series of watching them both that 16 is just better. And I think a lot of it had to do with people aren't talking about is that last year, Clemson didn't really have an established running game. And Kelly Bryant's legs really helped us in a situation when we went, ETN wasn't established at the beginning of the year, and just et cetera, et cetera. Now, this year we have a couple of running backs with ETN and Feaster come along, and even Adam Schwartz, and even Lynn J. Dixon, who should be getting more carries, I think. But at the end, it comes down to who's got the better arm, and it's not even a question. I love Kelly Bryant. I appreciate what he did for Clemson, but people are just blowing this way out of proportion. It's the competition that was lost, unfortunately, and there had to be a loser.
But some people would tell you what happened in the Texas A&M game.
Again,
Kelly had to come in and settle things down at Texas A&M.
Let me give you a supposition. Let's say this is a situation where the position coaches saw what he's done, and basically Dabo is kind of last man on the Kelly bandwagon. And if he didn't make the switch, there'd be a mutiny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so let's I'm just saying that as a supposition. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that could be the case as well. This could be a situation where Kelly Bryant might have had only one friend on that coaching staff, and it might have been Dabo. And then finally he said, you know what? I see what you're all seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody? I'm just saying.
Or if I can decide that I think 16 is better, and yet still let the senior trot out there as the starter every game.
That's not doing it. It's not doing the guy. That's doing Kelly a disservice.
It becomes the question of, do you stay with the status quo and hope that gets you by, and it just might. And is it good enough to beat Alabama? Is it good enough to beat Ohio State or Georgia down the road? Or did they need to do something else now? They went through a quarter at Georgia Tech where the offense did nothing. Their only score was on a fumble recovery by the defense. Kelly Bryant and the offense did nothing. 13 yards in the first quarter. They put in Lawrence in the second quarter, and he starts hitting passes, and they start scoring touchdowns. And it was like, in a blink of an eye, that went from a 7-0 game to a blowout. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now he did have the pick that led to a Georgia Tech touchdown. Other than that, he had a really, really strong game. I think his quarterback rating for that game was like over 200. So they just looked at the data and said, now it's time to cut it loose. The same thing that, of course, Saban was backed up against the wall in the national championship game against Georgia. Now, he's backed up against the wall. They were losing. Their offense was going nowhere under Jalen Hurts, and he really pushed the panic button, so to speak, and took a gamble, and it paid off for him. That's why he's looked at as a genius coach. He made the right call at the right time, and it led to a national championship. Maybe the same thing's going to happen here with Trevor Lawrence. We'll see. All right, let's go to William in Walterboro next up on Sports Talk. William, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Thank you very much. First-time caller.
Yes, sir. Good to have you.
Pee Wee Reese. Okay, great. Pee Wee Reese from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, we mentioned that.
Pee Wee Reese.
Okay, and also
you know anybody named Pee Wee?
I would say number 6. No.
Okay.
Nope. I'd say number 16 is floating on air right now. And we're going to see how that's going to carry over into a game because the competition that he's got coming forward in the future is going to be a little stiffer than Georgia Tech happens to be this year. So I would never second guess the coach. Coach made a decision, and you abide by it, and you go on. And but all of a sudden now you have a freshman that has all of the responsibility instead of part of the responsibility. And it may or may not make a difference in the way that he plays.
Well, they say that this guy.
My thoughts.
Thank you. They say that this guy, much like Deshaun Watson, is mature beyond his years.
These guys come in more prepared than any quarterback, and not just quarterbacks. These players come in more prepared. They've had year-round training, more prepared than any players coming into any sport in the history of collegiate sports.
Shouldn't have a real test this week against Syracuse. They're 78th nationally at 386 yards per game.
Why do you think the line's going up?
But
Vegas knows.
Offensively, they're number 1 in the ACC at 523 and 13th nationally. Could be a little test for the defense. The speed of that offense at which they get up to the line of scrimmage, snap the ball. We're really talking 7-8 seconds. They're up there snapping.
They're not asking Trevor Lawrence to play safety opposite Tanner Muse.
No, they're not. Just play quarterback. Let's continue on the phones. We go to Billy in Surfside Beach. Hello, Billy. Welcome to Sports Talk. I hope the beach is still there.
Yeah, it's there, man. I'm actually Surfside Beach. My other place is there, but I'm actually in Florence on business. But
okay.
I'm giving y'all a call. Hey, Will, I'm a jocksmith you like the other caller did. You're right on key, man. I mean, you're right on key. I mean, I'm gonna tell you flat out, all in a nutshell. I don't think I think, like you said, Dabo's got a national championship. We don't. And Trevor, wide receivers, these 5-star wide receivers don't cringe, but these 5-star wide receivers like Justin Ross, T. Higgins, the Kerryon Kendricks, they come to Clemson to go to the NFL. It's called wide receiver U for that reason. They come to go vertical from a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is special. I love Kelly Bryant. I love what he did for the program, but we're looking at the overall picture. The schedule's pathetic. Clemson should curb stomp everybody on the regular season, including the ACC championship. I think my theory is they looked at Alabama, Georgia, or whoever else. I don't think it really matters. And they saw you cannot be one-dimensional against a program like Alabama, and Trevor Lawrence makes all the throws. I mean, guys, he's making throws. He's making NFL throws off his back foot.
You think there aren't some thirsty dudes out there sitting there in high school who want to have that guy throw to him? You think there aren't some thirsty guys who want to eat? I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Hey, and look, guys, I'll say this and I'll take it off there because I know y'all probably up against the break, and I'm anxious to hear what my boy Corey Miller's got to say. And by the way, real quick, Missouri played a good game. Will they went on? They played a good game. Georgia just turnovers killed them.
Yeah.
I was impressed the way
referees
Missouri
didn't
ran
help
football.
either, but whatever.
All right, but anyway. But all right, guys. Hey, I'll just take it off there.
Thank you.
Out of time, but anyway, that's my comments. Later, fellas.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call.
Hey, another one of those guys drop a football from Georgia in that game against Missouri. I don't know if you saw that. Drop the ball at the goal line like they did against South Carolina.
Yeah.
What is Can Kirby Smart get a break with that?
Did somebody recover it for Georgia?
No.
They just gave him the touchdown?
Just gave him the touchdown.
Yeah, I think I did see that.
Missouri picked it up and took it the other way, and they thought they had a touchdown.
Did they really pick it up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They went
and they still gave Georgia the touchdown.
Yes.
Wow.
Because it's Georgia.
All right, we're going to try and hook up with the M&M boys after the break here on Sports Talk.
The big guys are up next. Corey Miller and Will Merritt. It's the M&M Boys. This is Sports Talk.
Federal Credit Union, relax at Founders. It's all about you. Hopefully that it's something we can say still when it comes to your financial needs. Founders always thinks member and takes great pride and offers its members the most innovative products and services. Go to relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership.
Okay, time for the M-Boy. Hopefully the M&M Boys. We're trying to catch up with Will Merritt. We do have the pastor of pain, Corey Miller, with us, whose opinions are big enough to cover for the two of them. And we'll keep trying to get Will here over the next couple of minutes. Good evening, Pastor. How are you?
Good evening, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm about ready to take off and just ball up that other end.
Yeah.
Because, so inconsistent.
Well, maybe he's transferring somewhere. We've transferred him to another program, and he's sitting out this show because if he's on this show, it makes him ineligible to be on any other program.
Wow.
The rest of the year. So your take on what happened up at Clemson over the last 24 hours?
Well, I think, first of all, you look at the sample size of the first 4 games that we've seen and the rotation of the quarterbacks, you kind of felt like it was headed in that direction. I know when you're going out and getting these 5-star quarterbacks, I believe promises and things are made. I know that's not out there, but I'm thinking that way. And you got a guy like that who felt like he probably could win anywhere in the country and been a starter. But I don't like how it was handled. I'm one of the ones that said it was handled the wrong way. There was absolutely no reason for Kelly Bryant to be transferred from Clemson. There's no reason he should have been benched. I mean, the guy basically won the ball game at Texas A&M, and I basically said this a couple of weeks ago on the show that, they would have lost had they kept Trevor Lawrence in that ball game. But the easy thing for them, because the ACC, as I said, is trash, and they can get away with it now. But it's going to bite them. I think it's going to bite them in the end, and I think they did him wrong. I agree with what he said. It was a slap in the face, disrespect. He did not lose his job. If he's playing bad and horrible, your team lost the game or something, I can get it. But that was not the case. And, the guy won 12 games for you last year. I guess his record now at Clemson will end at 16-2 as a starter. I mean, he led you to the college football playoff. Why would you do this? And making this decision is putting your program in an uproar. Now he's trying to defend things and trying to say the right things. But listen, I talked to some players, former players up there. Definitely agrees with what I'm saying, that they felt like he handled the situation wrong.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Let's say, for example, you've got Jadeveon Clowney at South Carolina, and he's playing, as a freshman, what he's got skill-wise. He's playing behind an older player the first few games, and the older players doing fine. But you got Jadeveon Clowney, and you see all this talent. It's just ready to explode, and he can make your defense so much better in terms of a pass rush. Do you not hesitate to put him in and start him ahead of the older guy because he makes you better? What I'm saying here is, maybe Clemson looks at Trevor Lawrence as that kind of quarterback. He's just so much better. They can do so many more things with him at quarterback. It makes their offense just that much more dangerous. It's not what Kelly Bryant didn't do. He did good things. It's just what this kid apparently can do when given the opportunity to be the entire show at quarterback.
Yeah, but Kelly Bryant, he's completing 66% of his passes. Trevor Lawrence completing 63%. I mean, is it fair to say that they may open up the offense a little more, give him a little bit more when he's in there? Maybe, and it looks like it to me. I think they throttle it back, with Kelly, because he is an athletic quarterback. So now you got a whole different package and play calling sheet. But my point is, the defensive question you asked is different because you can have two ends, so you put them both on the field. Problem with quarterback, you got one position. But my thing is, when you look at the football team and Clemson's offense, I mean, everybody now, the Clemson fans, want to compare and try to find that next Deshaun Watson, right? So they believe that this guy, Trevor Lawrence, is going to be that. Here's my thing. You still got to show me. You played A&M, a solid defense, and there were times he struggled. Other than that, who have they played? They played trash.
But
right?
but think about this, Corey. Against the same competition, this is the same competition now. Trevor has led them to 97 points scored in drives that he's engineered, and Kelly Bryant's led his team to 52 points in the drives he's engineered, and they've engineered basically the same amount of drives in both games, with the exception of the game that Kelly got hurt. So, I mean, I'm just saying, even against that trash competition, Trevor has been better.
Better in your eyes. I mean, but, you know, here's the thing that pisses me off about this whole thing today, right? It's like, because you got a guy that, he can throw the football, does that make him a better quarterback? You know, because he got a better arm? No, it doesn't. It means if you want to play that kind of game and that's what you want your offense to look like, then fine. Then go out there and rip it 50 times a game. Okay, but I can tell you from a defensive perspective that when you got a guy that can do both, it puts a whole lot more pressure on that defense. And I think Clemson now becomes really more like, I'm going to say one-dimensional, because Trevor Lawrence is not going to go out there and run the football like Kelly Bryant, you know. And you said about the points, Trevor Lawrence was in that ball game when their butts on the ropes, and they had to win that game. Who was quarterback? That was Kelly Bryant, because one, he's got talent and he has the experience factor. Well, now Clemson's going to be in a hot mess because you got two quarterbacks with limited experience. So this decision, it's going to be a tough one, because Kelly Bryant is a good football player. And to say, the guy got 40 points, I mean, come on, you played Furman, you played Georgia Southern, and Georgia Tech, who should be in that same conference. I mean, are we going to take that and say, this guy's the great, he is the Messiah, he's the second coming? No, he ain't showed me nothing yet. I mean, does he be big, has a nice arm? Yeah. But have you played anybody? When he get to play the Alabamas, Ohio State team with great defenses, will he be that guy when those guys coming through those double A gap bits, bust him in his chin? Will he get up and Kelly Bryant did it? You know, that's going to happen when you get to the next.
You got to get through that offensive line first before you bust him in the chin.
Yeah, that offensive line. You've been watching what I've been watching. that same offensive line that Dabo put all the A's on the bench at one time. That offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
That one. Yeah, but I'm sure they're scaring a lot of people. They're not playing well.
Well,
I mean, so the whole line get benched. Come on,
Corey. Obviously, in your experiences in football, you've seen this before. But you have a young quarterback who's sort of has a security blanket. You've got the incumbent starter in Kelly Bryant. He comes in, the rhythm of the offense changes. Okay, he's got some points scored or whatever. Now he comes into the quarterback room one day. But wait a minute, where's my liner's blanket? No, you're it. And so is there a different behavior pattern or something he has to go through now that he looks in the quarterback room and he is the guy, the liner's blanket isn't there?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, the locker room, can this guy lead? I mean, think about it. You watch these young. This team, they back Kelly Bryant. You know what I'm saying? That's their dude. That's what they go to work with. They trust him because he's been in the fire. Here's a guy that, now this is your guy. He's the vocal leader. Is he that guy that, that defensive front going to look at him like, man, this is a kid. I can tell you. No, he's going to have to earn that. I mean, Clemson is now at a level where they expect to be in the college football playoff. Yeah, I mean, listen, the guy has a great upside. He's got a great arm. You can see all that. Arm talent is phenomenal. But to me, you got a veteran guy that sat there and waited his turn, right? Behind Deshaun Watson, great kid, worked hard, took you to a big show last year, the Sugar Bowl, won an ACC championship for you. And the fact that in this year, 4 games, he hasn't played bad at all. And yet he didn't lose the job. It was taken away from him. And then for Dabo to sit there and say, hey, I wish him, he's a great kid and it's a hard day for a coach. And I'm a little upset that he left. What do you want him to do? He got 1 year. You got to do what's best for him.
All right, hang on. We're going to come back, finish up that, and let you talk for a couple of minutes about the Gamecocks and Kentucky. It's the M guy, the pastor of pain, Corey Miller, with us here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
It was not intentional, was that? This is blowing up? Really? That's the one you come back with? With everything in Clemson blowing up. This is the Blink 182 song is called. This is Everything's Blowing Up. The name of the show is called, I'm not going to say the actual name, but it's called Darn It, but not Darn It.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right. Excellent. Can we continue?
Sure.
Thank you there. Back with the Pastor of Pain here on Sports Talk.
Anything to throw you off. Anything.
It's the M&M boys. We were not able to catch up with Will Merritt tonight. We are here with Corey Miller for a couple of more minutes. I'm just going to say this. We're going to move on to let you talk about the Gamecocks for a minute. Then we'll get back to our phone calls. I mean, Corey, I hear what you're saying, but a coach has to be a coach. None of us knows. What happened in the meeting rooms and all that? Was this predetermined going into the season that they were going to go through 4 games and then make the change if everything was going well? I don't know, but I have to respect a coach's right to make a decision for what he thinks is best for his team. And I have to respect the player's right now with the rules allowing this. I have to respect the player's right to make a decision for what he thinks is best for him. Some players think about what's best for him. Some players think about what's best for the team and, decide to stay and take their chances that they're going to get another chance to play. In this case, Kelly Bryant feels like it's best for him to move on and try and resurrect his career somewhere else. But from what I've seen, and I was in Atlanta, and I saw the performance that Trevor Lawrence put on and how that offense just took off with him in the second quarter moving forward when it was doing nothing in the first quarter. I mean, it's hard not to understand why the Clemson offensive coaches would not make this move now, because they're thinking about, and as well as I do, they're thinking about December and January. They're thinking about the big picture and having this guy ready when they take the field in the national semifinals somewhere.
If they get there.
How are they not going to get there?
Well, we'll see. With
you said yourself the schedule's trash.
Yeah, it is trash. But Clemson always Clemson. Like, Syracuse, maybe we'll have another Kumbaya speech coming Saturday. Never know. But, listen, Coach's going to do what's best for the team. I get that. But don't sit there and be like you're disappointed that he left. What you want him to do? I mean, you took it, it's kind of like, hey, you got a nice wife. You got a nice girlfriend. She look good, treat you right. Does great things for you. But, yeah, someone walks by you and smelling good, got the heels on and pumps and all that stuff. The grass is not always greener, brother. We always seem to be wanting more. But when you got something good, you need to hold on to it. So that's kind of how I look at this situation. Kelly Bryant has 1 more year. You have 3 more years. You got the Trevor Lawrence as a backup in case you need to go. So just like Alabama last year, they probably could have made a change if they wanted to, right? They could have. I'm there. I've been at practice. I've seen it all.
Did people know? Did people know early last year that Tango Viola was going to be the guy? Was that good? Did they know that early?
Yeah. I mean, every time he played, he was special.
Every time Trevor Lawrence has played, he's been special except for one game.
He was special. But the difference is that, Nick Saban wasn't going there and just mess with his whole team that way. Hey, I could still win with Jalen Hurts, who's done it, matter of fact, 20-something games, right?
26-2.
And should have beat Clemson. He took the team down the field in the championship game. People forget that.
Yeah.
At LSU, Jalen Hurts won that game. People forget that. At Mississippi State, it was Jalen Hurts that went on the road, tough environments, and won those games. Nick Saban stuck with him until he felt like it was good. I need to make a move. We need a push in this ball game. In comes Tua Tagovailoa, and boom, they win the national championship. And then they go into a battle, and Tua outplayed it. I'm friends with Jalen Dad. We were just together this weekend. These are the type of things that happen. Those things are understood. They handled it the right way. That's why you don't have a hot mess in Alabama. Now you got a firestorm here in Clemson. Kelly Bryant, you could win with him. You're going to win a championship with him. You'll get to playoff probably with him. Give him a shot. And then when you play those monsters, the Alabamas, the Oklahomas, Ohio State, things like that, and you need that kind of push where you feel like you got to throw it around the ballpark, maybe then you bring a guy like that in. You don't do this. This is all for fans. This is social media.
As soon as he throws a 50-yard touchdown pass to T. Higgins in the first 5 minutes on Saturday, it'll all be forgotten about.
I bet you they'll come out and run the ball.
I doubt it.
8 times.
South Carolina and Kentucky. Gamecocks got a nice road win against Vanderbilt, showed a lot of good things on offense and a pretty salty defense against a pretty good quarterback. But now they're facing a different animal in Kentucky. I know that's hard to say, but hey, if you're South Carolina, you have to respect Kentucky because they've owned you in recent years.
Yeah, they better respect them because they have some dudes. They're good. And they better be able to stop the run. If they don't stop the run on Saturday, they're in trouble. I mean, and Kentucky's salty on defense. Stoops done a nice job with that. They get after you. They're going to bring pressure. So, the offensive line's going to have to protect Jake, keep him upright. The receiver's going to have to make some big plays. I'm still waiting on a breakout game from Deebo Samuel. We haven't seen that yet. I know they're paying him a lot of attention. It's about that time for him to have that breakout game, but I think it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball if they can win this game. If they stop the running game, I don't think Kentucky is a consistent enough passing team when you put them in obvious passing situations to throw the football down the field and beat you. But if they got the run game going down, those RPOs, those play action passes, that's going to be a problem. But it's on the defensive line, and they have some issues there. They're banged up, beat up. They got to be able to stop the run. If they don't, they're going to lose this game. Was it 4 in a row now?
It is 4 in a row. Right now it's 4 in a row. But let me ask you this real quick, and we'll let you go. I mean, as a defensive guy, how do you stop a team that you have not been able to stop from running the ball the last 4 years? What strategy should they use?
Well, you got to be able to play on the other side of the offensive line. You got to change the line of scrimmage. They need to do some stunts, some run blitzes. They're going to have to get guys across the line of scrimmage. No more of that read and reacting. You got to get across the line of scrimmage. Win that by knocking guys back, not letting those backs running downhill and getting on that second and third level of your defense. They got to be able to be winning the line of scrimmage all day long. And sometimes guys can't do that in the one-on-one physically. So now you're going to have to do that by calling certain things, slants and stunts and twists, things like that, where that defensive line is going to be active. Bringing those linebackers, double A gap, blitz, double B gap. You got to be in the backfield and hit this guy before it gets going. That run game of Kentucky is really, really good. That's why I said that's going to be the game. You can circle it right there. Their offensive line against South Carolina defensive line. Who wins that battle wins the football game, period.
Pastor, we thank you for doing double duty tonight, and we wish you a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, the M&M, the other M stands for missing, okay? Just remember that. Miller and missing.
The missing M. Again, he's transferring, and if we had him on tonight, that would make him ineligible to continue his career on another program.
Listen, I respect Corey as a former player. I respect him as an analyst, and I respect him as a person. But I do not agree with his analysis about the situation.
Yep.
At all.
Let's go to the phones once again. We go to Gene. Let's go to Gene somewhere out there. We don't know where Gene's calling from. All we know is he's Gene. Hello, Gene.
Hey, how you doing, Phil? I'm calling from Graniteville.
Graniteville. Gotcha, sir.
Yeah. I'm going to have to agree with Corey Miller.
Why?
And I'm going to tell you why. Because Trevor Lawrence, so far he's a great quarterback. They've only played one team that really, give him any competition, and that was Texas A&M. And Bryant actually won that ball game. Okay? And so when they get rid of Bryant, they have no backup. Okay, and I know you heard the rumors, that Mr. T is what I'm going to call him at Alabama. He kind of told Saban and said, look, you played me in the national championship game last year, or I'm transferring. And so Saban said, he knows what he's got. But guess what else he's got? He's got a backup. And Jalen Hurst could have left, but he didn't leave. So, let's play the freshman. Sweeney's an Alabama grad. He's like, Saban's my idol, and he can do it, I can do it. But there's nobody there if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt. Nobody.
Yeah, they've left themselves a bit. They've left themselves a bit naked in the quarterback room.
All these people who keep bringing up the A&M game, Kelly played against the same teams and the same trash defenses that Trevor did, and Trevor's offenses scored almost double the amount of points.
Here's what we're talking about here, because we're missing the point. It's dealing with football players and dealing with people. And that's what you got to find out when you're a football coach. You're not only dealing with productivity, you're dealing with people.
To me,
what's your point?
It's very simple. Like I wrote on our website
just
today,
kept the system the way it was.
It's about number one. Dabo Swinney's looking at being number one at the end of the season, and Kelly Bryant is looking out for number one. It's very simple.
And I don't begrudge either of them.
The guys are always checking email. Send your comments or questions to talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, more of Sports Talk from Columbia's Main Street.
Somebody on the Periscope said I aired in the Blink-182 identifier. It said, "This is growing up by mistake." My 90s, 2000s alternative rock knowledge.
Wasting time.
Very much wasted there. We are going to be at Clemson tomorrow at Your Pie, 111 Earl Street. Come by and see us.
Shut your pie hole.
As in, come to Clemson, get free footballs from us. Come see us. Maybe we should really, this is a missed opportunity. We should have done like a pie throwing contest. It's not that kind of pie. It's a pizza place.
Yes.
But we really could have, I feel like it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that hot cheese won't feel too good if it hits you in the face.
All right, in just a moment, we're going to chat with Coach Keith Richardson about the developments with the Touchstone Energy Bowl, and time permitting, more of your calls. Let me get through recruiting very quickly here. USC last night offered cornerback Shiloh Sanders of Cedar Hill, Texas. Yes, he is Dion's son. He is interested in the Gamecocks. He will set a date for a visit at some point. Offensive lineman Seth Williams of Statesville, North Carolina, plans a return visit to Clemson Saturday. He was there for the Georgia Southern game. 2020 defensive end Tonka Hemingway of Conway was offered by East Carolina.
How big as a Tonka truck?
He's big. Point guard, basketball, Chico Carter, Cardinal Newman, committed to Murray State. Guard Trey Smith of Landrum, committed to Delta State. And last night, 6'1" point guard Trey Jackson of Blythewood committed to Iowa State. Also last night, Clemson assistant coach Dick Bender visited with 6-foot point guard Joel Brown of Brewster Prep, New Hampshire. Brown may be visiting Clemson in the near future. 2021, 6'4" point guard Bryce McGowans of Wren was offered by St. John's. And one other basketball note, Gerald Drumgoole, 6'5", out of Rochester, New York, goes to school in Indiana, will visit USC officially this weekend. He'll be arriving on Thursday night. His parents are coming with him. Very excited about the visit with South Carolina, as that is in home with Frank Martin. He likes Frank Martin and Bruce Shingler, likes Martin's coaching style, and they like his all-around game, he said. He will take another official visit somewhere, not sure where. Georgia and Minnesota are two others hot on his trail right now, but keep an eye out on Gerald Drumgoole for South Carolina in the near future. All right, for those of you holding, we'll get to you here shortly. For those of you that we can't get to, we'll get to you tomorrow night. Just hang on for 22 hours. In the meantime, we welcome in the co-director of the Touchstone Energy Bowl.
Just don't transfer.
Yeah, don't transfer whatever you do. Too complicated. Coach Keith Richardson, and because of the weather situation, the flooding, the delays, and everything, the game, the Touchstone Energy Bowl North-South game, going to be played at noon on December 15th at Coastal Carolina Stadium. Coach, good to have you with us, and I know this is something you guys have been working on now for a couple of weeks with the weather situation, and best situation you could come to here is to get this thing moved to Conway and find a date where it can be played.
Well, that's very true. I think the biggest thing, though, in my mind is that we're now going to be sure that every kid that plays high school football in South Carolina will have a chance to be selected to play in our game. We're not going to have playoffs going on and that sort of thing that would keep some schools from being a part of this. So we're happy to move our date back from the original date to take care of all of our schools, especially those that have been impacted by the weather.
Now, there is construction going on around the stadium at Coastal Carolina. How willing were the Chanticleers, Matt Hogue, the AD, Coach Moglia, the football coach there, how willing were they to come to you guys, or you go to them and put this deal together?
Well, I think Coach Moglia was very interested in it. I hope everybody else there was chance to get these kids on their campus, but it's a busy time for them. They've got graduation on Friday night before our game, and they got a lot going on, and it certainly is very rewarding to us that they're willing to allow us in this situation to come in at the last minute and play our game, in a great football stadium with a great setting there. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm sure the kids will enjoy having the opportunity to play inside that facility as it is being expanded. And I know you looked at the possibility of playing on a Friday night, but with the with Doug Shaw not available and Coastal having graduation, I guess that killed the Friday night idea.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just too much for them, and we certainly didn't want to push that. And playing on Saturday at noon is what we're used to doing in this team. So it's worked out real well.
All right.
And I'm very appreciative not only to Coastal but to the hotels that we house our kids in, and the restaurants we use, the bus company that we use. All we're just so willing to compromise their schedules to make our schedule work. And those are great people, and we sure appreciate them.
You remain on schedule for picking the roster, and when will that be done?
Phil, I think we're picking those on the 22nd of October. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I think it's the 22nd.
22nd, about a week or so after the Shrine Bowl?
I'm not sure when they're picking, but they usually pick earlier than us.
Yes. Yep. Okay, Coach, listen, we just want to get a quick update from you on that. Thank you, and we look forward to talking to you again here real soon.
Well, we appreciate you getting the word out.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So put that on your calendar. It's December 15th at noon. It's going to be a busy December with USC either playing in the SEC championship game or playing a home game on December 1st, and then Clemson playing in the ACC championship game in all likelihood on December 1st, and then the state championship games on December 8th, the North-South on the 15th, maybe the Shrine Bowl on the 15th or the 22nd.
From our guy Mike Morgan, who I'm sure we're going to try to shoe in tomorrow. He says, for those outraged over Dabo benching Kelly Bryant, you have the same problem with Nick Saban benching Jalen Hurts for Tua. Hurts was 26-2 as a starter, but seems to be working out pretty well for the Tides. I'm sure we'll ask him about this tomorrow.
Absolutely. All right, back to the calls. We'll squeeze in what we can here in our final couple of minutes. Brian in Georgetown. Hello, Brian. Welcome to Sports Talk. Hope everything's okay down your way.
Yeah, it's okay, Phil.
Yes, sir.
Listen, it seemed like to me we just had this episode come up in 2013 with Deshaun Watson. Dabo has handled it no different than he did back then that he's doing now. But it seems to be a problem now that everybody's wanting to jump on Dabo. I trust him. I don't have no doubts about what he's doing. I'm proud he's my coach. I'll back him all the way. I don't mean right all the time, but he's doing on intuition right now. And I think he's doing the right thing.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your call.
No qualms with that.
Yeah. It's very similar. Again, 3 games into 2014, and Deshaun Watson was starting to take over, and he took over in the 4th game.
Who did Deshaun Watson replace?
Cole Stout.
Cole Stout, any comparison to Kelly Bryant?
I don't think so.
No,
not as successful. And he was a senior.
Yeah.
And, he had no options left. It's a little different, but it's a little different, but it's also a lot the same. All right, let's go to where are we going next, Brian? I've lost track here because Sean in Florence got about maybe a minute. Hello, Sean.
Hey, what's up, Phil? Well, Corey and everybody's spinning this like Alabama has done their quarterback shuffle better than Clemson. The same result's going to happen. The only reason why Hurst is staying around is because he hasn't graduated. He will never play a game again. The same result. He's only going to be on that team and on that sideline until he graduates. If he had already graduated, he'd be gone already.
He's on pace to do so in December.
I agree. I think he'll be somewhere else next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be somewhere else next year.
And he won't have to sit.
Yeah, he's not going to have to sit because he's going to graduate.
Yeah.
The same situation. So everybody's like, oh, Saban handled it better. No, he didn't. He didn't handle it better. At least Dabo gave Kelly a shot. They didn't even give Hurst a shot.
And that's the thing, I think, again, people underlook that part.
Well, I think the doubters, the critics are saying, did he really give him a shot? Was this all predetermined that after 4 games? I mean, did they know going into Georgia Tech that they were going to make this move and they were going to stick with it? Or did the performances in that game dictate this move?
I think they gave him 4 opportunities to have him either win the job, retain the job, or let Trevor win the job. And given the performances, they felt that Trevor gives them the best chance to win.
Okay, we thank you for all the calls. We thank Coach Richardson. We thank Corey Miller. Tomorrow night from up at Your Pie, Earl Street, just off of Main Street in Clemson. Look forward to that.
You going to wear your orange?
I don't have any orange. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Pro, and thank you, Will. See you tomorrow.